Hello again and welcome to another edition of Shed Talk, my weekly magazine video series looking at the keeping, breeding and showing of cage birds, with a particular focus on the exhibition style budgerigar. Although in this week's episode, as with the last couple, we will be splitting it between this shed in here, so the main budgerigar shed, where we'll have an update on the I suppose the last few breeding pairs in here, but also outside in the finch and fife flight, where we'll take a look at how the young fifes are doing and how I got on finding a second hen for the outcross cockbird that I thought was a hen. But more about that in just a second when we pop out to have a look at it. And as always, if you enjoy the show, don't forget to hit the like button. I think there is a subscribe button down in the bottom somewhere. I'm sure you'll be able to find it if you haven't yet subscribed. And as always, do please comment on anything you see or hear on the channel. Right, we will start this week's episode off with fifes from breeding to bench. So here we are then, fifes from breeding to bench, and for those of you that have been following the channel will know that we're right in the middle of the breeding phase of that. And we have two pairs down, and in the last episode I said I'd be looking to find a yellow hen out of the flight to go, that I was going to see if I could then use it with the outcross buff green cockbird that we thought was a hen. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, go back and have a look at the last episode and you'll see what I mean by thinking it was a hen and it turned out to be a cock. Anyway, so the idea was that I would move that into a separate cage and then we would try and run that cockbird across its current partner and one other. So I had the cage all set up, looked in the main flight for the yellow birds that were in there that I knew definitely weren't cockbirds, because there's one yellow in there that's singing his head off, so it's definitely a cockbird. The other yellow bird that I got in the main flight I've taken out, and unfortunately, as I sort of suspected, it turns out it was a cockbird, and you can see it here. I was just checking the vent, and I'm reasonably sure from this short clip that you can see the guide feathers and the vent is protruding slightly, which suggests it's a cockbird. If I'm mistaken on that, let me know, but that's my understanding of how you can sex canaries, particularly or mainly when they're in breeding conditions. So this means I don't have a yellow hen that I can use with that cockbird. It's disappointing because I was hoping that I would be able to run it across too. I suppose it's only my second year of breeding the fifes, and it might have been a little bit, I don't know, asking a little bit much of me to be able to actually do that running across more than one hen, particularly the additional time that might take. So there we are. So there will only be the two breeding cages and not three. So I will dismantle the extra breeding cage or take the various bits and pieces out of the extra breeding cage that I had set up. There we go. So only the two pairs. Good news is, of those two pairs, both of those are still doing really well. You will know that we had 4 eggs in each of the two cages, so each bird had laid 4 eggs, and each of those had managed to hatch too, so we had a 50% success rate. It did turn out that both in terms of the top cage and the bottom cage, that 2 of the eggs, or the middle cage, that 2 of the eggs were clear in both of those, so perhaps the cock didn't start fertilizing the first 2 eggs. So we are still continuing on here. You can see the youngsters here, both of them appear to be doing really well and being fed well. Spring has actually arrived here. You can probably hear, I don't know if you can see behind me if I move this way a little bit, top cage is being fed, which is always good news. So anyway, and obviously I'm not putting them off by talking. So we have like I say, spring seems to have arrived. The sun's shining and the temperature has certainly warmed up quite a bit. And when I come in to the shed, more often than not, the hens are no longer sitting on the nest, so it's clearly warm enough for the chicks. And as they're growing, getting a bit bigger, they're starting to feather up a little bit as well. So it does seem as if all's going well out here. I say spring's arrived. There's been one thing, and I don't know, maybe those of you that have been breeding fifes a little bit more than me. So last year around this time, I was regularly on my way when I'm moving, you know, on my walks, finding large patches of chickweed that I was pulling, washing, and then giving to the youngsters. This year, there doesn't appear to be any. All the places where I've previously found chickweed, there doesn't seem to be any sign of it. I've got one or two little patches that I am using, taking a little bit each morning, but it's nowhere near as much as it was last year. I don't know whether the damp start to the spring has held it back, or whether it's just a bad year for chickweed. I don't know. Let me know if in your area there's lots and lots of chickweed about, but certainly here I haven't found hardly any of it, so I'm not been able to give them that. I'm having to top it up with other greens, bits of broccoli, that sort of stuff, instead of the wild chickweed, which of course is free. And we're all, you know, really, it's always really nice to get something for nothing, isn't it? So as I say, let me know in the comments whether you've got a similar problem in your area with chickweed, but certainly around here, very little chickweed about. Anyway, as I say, all going really well out here. We'll pop back in and see how the budgerigars are doing in the budgerigar shed. Well, as I say, it was a shame that we couldn't find a yellow hen that we could run the outcross cockbird across, but there we go, that's the way it is. And the rest of it out there, you know, is going just fine, just brilliantly, I suppose. Anyway, so in here with the budgerigars, you know that we're in the process of closing down the final 3 cages virtually, and we'll start off with the cage that's got the 2 youngsters in it. You may remember these were youngsters that were fostered from cage number 3, I believe it was, where we had to move the eggs across because the mum wasn't feeding in the other cage. So anyway, so we've got the 2 youngsters in there. We've got a light green and what I believe is a cobalt. You can see from this short clip that one of them has jumped the nest box, so is actually out of the nest box already, and as you can gather, it is the light green that has left. We're just now waiting on this sky blue to do the same. I am trying to keep the ring as clean as possible. Almost every day I come in, it seems like it's fouled again. But anyway, we will keep cleaning that. Once they're out of the nest box, I tend to find that the rings stay a lot cleaner anyway. I think it's just when they're in there that they get all mucky up. I've heard some people have commented recently when I've been to various meetings that the new rings seem to be fouling more than the others. I can't say I've really noticed that. Any of you out there who have got the new BS style rings, let me know your thoughts. Do you think that they're fouling any more than the others? Like I say, I haven't really noticed any difference between the rings. Right, so I said that one of them has jumped the nest. This means it's time for us to make sure we've got a chick box ready, or a chick hide ready in the bottom of the cage for that particular bird. Regular viewers to the channel will know that I use old margarine tubs, soft spreadable, you know, tubs that I clean out and then cut a small hole in. So one of those has now been placed in the bottom of the cage, and to encourage the chick to use it, I do tend to move the chick off the cage floor and pop him in there. Just encourages them to use it. And you can see here the youngster is now using the chick hide, or currently is using the chick hide. It just helps a little bit, I think, in terms of, particularly when you've got, like I have, all wire cage floor, give them something to stand on, a bit that's a bit more than just the wire cage floor, but also if there is any aggression between either the hen or the cockbird, it allows the chick to get out of sight, and out of sight, out of mind, and all that. So anyway, all going well in there. We're just waiting for the cobalt now to jump out of the cage. I'm umming and ahhing about letting this pair carry on, and I think what I will be doing is splitting this pair almost as soon as I'm confident that the chicks are being fed by both the cock and the hen. Once they're both out of the nest box, then what I will do is probably remove the cockbird and leave the hen in there to bring them up. Sometimes do it the other way around. I'll have a look and see which one I'm happy with is feeding them the most. So that's that cage all done. The other two cages pretty much as it was in the last episode. Cage number 2, which is the dominant pied, going to split them. Hen, while she's cleared the nest box, she's showing no signs that she's going to lay. There aren't even any big poos in the bottom of the cage, so unless something drastic happens over the next 2 days, they will be split. Cage number 6, which is the Lutino cockbird that we're putting to the second hen. So again, the hen's cleared the nest box. She is going in there. You might remember from the last episode we saw that. But there's no real sign that she's going to lay. So, and again, no big poos, none of that stuff. So once again, unless something drastically happens by the end of the week, then I think that pair is also going to be split, which means we'll have the budgerigars all closed down. Like I say, a bit earlier than usual. We haven't got as many chicks as I would have liked, but with all the stuff that's going on with me over the summer with holidays and boy off to university and stuff, it'll be nice to get this, at least one of the bird rooms closed down completely and give me a bit of spare time to get all the rest of my life sorted out. Anyway, that's just about it from inside here in the budgerigar flight. Well, I said unless something dramatically changes, and guess what? Yep, the Lutino pair has started laying, so I will leave the Lutino pair to finish laying, check to see if whether any of the eggs are full. So it may be that we're going to have to keep a pair down slightly longer than I originally said in 24 hours ago. So there we go. Good news, I suppose. Good news that we might get some more youngsters off of the Lutino. That brings us towards the end of another episode. Don't forget to let me know in the comments about the chickweed, how it's going in your area. The other thing is, please do comment about how your breeding season's going, and let me know whether you're having a really successful breeding season or otherwise. Of course, if you've got lots of chicks and lots of eggs, then why not pop over to the Facebook page and post a few pictures of them on there, and maybe we can include those pictures in a future episode. We used to do it a little while ago, I seem to remember, probably over a year ago now. We used to have subscribers sort of pictures of their birds in their shed. So do post a few pictures then of some of your youngsters or some of your birds that you're particularly keeping. Always nice to see, and it's always nice to share them. But until then, as always, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't yet subscribed. But most importantly, do stay safe, enjoy your birds.